Thank you for coming to Patriot's Memorial Park and for your interest in World War I. We hope that you will leave today with a deeper appreciation for the 4.7 million men and women who served in the U.S. military to help defeat the Central Powers, those of Austria-Hungary, Germany, Bulgaria, and the Ottoman Empire.
Wars, of course, are nothing new. They're almost as old as mankind itself. But in the last century, 2 world wars have left their mark with devastating consequences. The first of these erupted in the summer of 1914. The causes were complex. A growing national fervor among European nations with newly enlarged armies led quickly to war when Austria-Hungary's Archduke Franz Ferdinand was assassinated in Sarajevo, Serbia on June 28, 1914. Almost immediately, nations took sides along established alliances. Great Britain, France, and Russia joined forces to face the armies of the Central Powers. What began in the Balkan Peninsula spread like wildfire. In Western Europe, the front followed the French and Belgian borders with Germany. In Eastern Europe, it was the German, Austro-Hungarian borders with Russia, forcing the Germans to send reinforcements from the Western to the Eastern Front. This shift in manpower averted an impending French defeat. However, the advantage was short-lived. Political and social upheavals within Russia itself, known as the Bolshevik Revolution, forced Russian withdrawal from the war in November 1917. This permitted German troops to concentrate again in the West. The United States sought to maintain neutrality, but was drawn into the fighting due to several events. In May 1915, a German submarine called a U-boat torpedoed the Lusitania, a British passenger liner, killing all 128 Americans aboard. Germany then promised not to attack non-combatant ships, but later reneged, sinking several U.S. cargo ships. The final straw came with the discovery of a secret telegram revealing a German attempt to entice Mexico to attack the U.S. Congress declared war April 6, 1917. Within a year, U.S. forces had provided the Allies with the critical force necessary to halt German advances in the West. The American Expeditionary Force, as it was called, under General John J. Pershing, fought alongside but independently of the Allies. In May 1918, the U.S. aided the French at Château Thierry to stymie the German advance only 50 miles from Paris. In June, American forces drove the Germans out of Belleau Woods and fought in the Second Battle of the Marne River. The war had begun to turn. The Allies launched the last major offensive in September 1918. Over 900,000 U.S. troops entered the Argonne Forest and the River Meuse battlefields. A ceasefire or armistice was signed November the 11th, 1918, a date memorialized as Armistice Day in the U.S. until 1954, when it was renamed Veterans Day to honor those also having fought in World War II and the Korean conflict. American losses in World War I were modest compared to the other belligerents. Of the 4.7 million who served, 116,516 had died, with another 320,000 sick and wounded. The U.S. lost more troops to disease, 63,114, than to combat, 53,402, due to the influenza epidemic of 1918. While numerous secondary treaties were signed, the Treaty of Versailles served to conclude the war. Leaders from France, England, Italy, and the United States dictated terms of surrender. Germany and its former allies neither negotiated nor were allowed to participate. Under threat of renewed fighting and invasion, the Germans reluctantly signed the treaty June 28, 1919. The huge reparations demanded would lead to an impoverished German populace receptive to a political leader who would overthrow the yoke imposed by the Versailles Treaty. Little more than a decade later, that leader entered the world stage. His name, Adolf Hitler. World War I, the supposed war to end all wars, would soon reignite with even greater fury as World War II.
On behalf of all of us here in DeKalb County, Alabama, we want to thank you for having come to Patriots Memorial Park. And as we've said before, we hope that you will go away not only with a deeper appreciation for those who have served, but perhaps also with a heart to serve in your community, in our military, as a first responder, there where you live, or with the U.S. military around the world. Thank you for coming.